When the statistics show that only 12% of women-owned businesses ever reach $100,000 in revenue, and even fewer at only 6.2% ever get to 250,000 in revenue, it's a situation. This is why I'm super excited about today's guest on Straight Talk About Sales. I'm Dr. Nadia, founder of the Doyen Agency and creator of Straight Talk About Sales podcast. And I am so excited for my guest today, Shayla Boyd-Gill, who is a highly accomplished business coach and sales strategist known for her exceptional ability to guide six-figure service-based female entrepreneurs toward achieving their goals of family, freedom, and affluence. As a creator of the Luxe Scaling System, Shayla has helped countless coaches, consultants, and agency owners earning $250,000 or more to restructure their businesses and lives and scale confidently on their own terms. With over 20 years of experience as an entrepreneur, Shayla has received numerous prestigious accolades, including the Prince George's County Social Innovation Fund 40 Under 40 Award for her significant contributions to the business community, Suzanne Evans's Hell Yeah Award, and the Savvy Entrepreneur People's Choice Award. Despite her busy schedule, Shayla is also a devoted wife of 26 years and a mother of 6 children. Her unique perspective as a successful entrepreneur, wife, and mother allows her to connect deeply with her clients, inspiring and empowering them to achieve their goals and live their best lives. This conversation, we talked about it all, and I think you are in for a real treat as Shayla not only shares her journey, but insights on how she also serves her clients and her insight around this 250K crisis. Tune in. Welcome to another episode of Straight Talk About Sales. And I am so excited to have my good friend, Shayla Boyd-Gill, join us today. Welcome, Shayla.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nadia. I'm super excited to be here with your community.
Oh my gosh, I've been looking forward to this conversation. Shayla and I talk all the time to one another, and it was
All
like,
the time.
why don't I have her on the podcast? I'm like, why? So here we are. So to start out, Shayla, because you have a wealth of experience and insight, and Shayla's one of my accountability partners, so I do get to tap into that sometimes. So, but I want you to share with our listeners, what was your journey like leading up to the work that you do now as a sales coach and strategist?
It was definitely not a linear journey. So I'm going to, as quickly as possible, summarize this. But coming from a background of construction engineering technology, I was a project manager, ground up construction commercial. And I understood 3 years into that journey that this was not a long-term journey for me. I looked at the men that were in the leadership roles, and I understood immediately that I would never get to that role in that particular company. And so I was pregnant with baby number 3, and I decided I'm not returning after I had the baby. Now, I'm going to warn people, don't just abruptly leave your job, okay? I just happen to have that kind of spirit, okay? I left, and Nadia, the thing I asked myself was, what is it that I can do really well that will prevent me from needing to go back to work?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I was really good at doing was having babies. Who says that? Me. So I told my husband, you know what? I have a really good experience having babies. However, my friends were having horrible experiences, meaning they were leading to surgical errors. They were leading to having experiences where they said they never wanted to have babies again.
Wow.
What differentiated us was I had a midwife and a doula. 23 years old. I had insight that most people didn't have. They were advocates for me. They educated me, and I went in knowing that I was being supported, not with someone else's plan. I decided to bring that to my community. So I got certified as a childbirth educator, doula, lactation consultant, and I was birthing babies. Okay.
Of course.
Of course. And by the way, I have 6. So I kind of know what I'm doing there.
Just a little experience.
But I'm sure you've seen this in other industries. There are lots of industries that will certify people,
Mhm.
but they don't teach you how to run your business.
Yes.
What I noticed, there were many people that were certified in the birthing industry, and we were givers, you know. It was
Mhm.
all kind of stereotypes around it, Birkenstocks and all, right? So what we understood, we were giving, we were caretakers, but every time I went to someone's home, they said, and I had to figure out how to take this. Oh my goodness, this is so professional. We've met with 3 other people, but you've come in with branded folders. You had all of your services outlined. Like I came in as a business owner, the CEO. I
Mhm.
walked in with contracts
Mhm.
and I was able to swipe cards
You
when we
got
were
the
carrying
come.
big card swipers. You
Yes.
know, we do sales, right? I
Yes.
walked in expecting to get the sale.
Mhm.
It wasn't a maybe, it was if this is a good fit for me and if it's a good fit for them, we're going to close this deal. And that's how I became one of the biggest birthing industry workers here in the DC area.
I love it.
And so that's what led me into coaching because at a certain point I had so many clients. Now where my era came in when it came to business, I didn't understand how to scale.
Mhm.
I
Oh,
didn't
we're gonna talk
understand
about that.
how to expand without burning myself out. And
Mhm.
so as I was having more kids, I said, I like to sleep. I can't do this middle of the night thing with babies anymore.
Right.
So I flipped it and said, I'm no longer going to be taking care of clients, but instead, I'm going to teach these other people that are certified how they can run their business.
I love it.
So I started coaching and teaching women how to grow a business.
Yeah.
And then I had clients that had babies and didn't want to go back to work. And these were
Mm.
like high level women
Mhm.
in high level positions. And they said, Shayla, I can't imagine going back to work after having this baby. What are you good at doing? Let me show you how to start a business.
So
That's
good.
how coaching started for me, Dr. Nadia.
Oh my gosh. And as they say, the rest is history. And
The rest is history. So, as I grew up in coaching and as I matured in coaching, the type of clients that I decided to work with matured and grew with me.
oh, I love it. One of the things
Yeah.
that you've done recently is kind of refine, and I got to be part of that process. I'm so excited. Um, it's
Yes.
really, refining and kind of honing in on the work that you do, the type of clients you work with. And I was so excited about the brand and really kind of, your niche when you talk about your Luxe scaling system, because you mentioned earlier, like that was one of your challenges along this journey is knowing how to scale. And you and I
Mhm.
see it all the time in the work that we do. Like scaling is really
Yeah.
challenging. So, would you mind giving us just a little insight about this Lux scaling system and how it impacts your clients' growth?
Absolutely. A lot of times clients come to work with me and they are 6-figure winners already.
Mhm.
So the fact is they're already 12%, like 12% of women entrepreneurs making 6 figures or more in their
Yep,
business. That's a small amount, Dr. Nadia.
it's terribly small.
And so we're already celebrating that, but something happens. They get
Mhm.
to 6 figures and they're saying, how do I scale? And so once they come to me, at first I thought I was just teaching my clients how to sell. And I understood if you got to 6 figures, you probably knew how to sell, but you needed to refine something. And
Mhm.
what they really needed to learn how to do was to scale beyond what they were already able to accomplish. And as I stated before, I saw where my flaws were when I attempted to do that or didn't know that that was an option for me.
Mhm.
And so I had to go back into my own curriculum and say, what are the components that are missing here? And so we do have these components. We put them in 3 pillars now, 3 core areas that we make sure that our clients are really touching base on, not just selling, not just having an amazing offer, but having a whole business, like where the entire business is scalable, not just an offer being scalable. And so we call that the Luxe Scaling System. And we can talk a little bit more about that.
Oh my goodness. So you touched on so many things. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. Um, one thing though, let's just talk about getting to 6 figures, right? Because you mentioned the stat. I've shared that stat as well. that only 12%, like I thought it was a typo. I was like, surely this has to be a typo,
Surely, right?
right? That only 12% even get to just 100K. Like we say six figures, but that's
Yes,
really a really broad
it's just
spectrum.
100.
Just
Yes.
100. We're not talking 900. We're talking 100, just 100. And in that, that's exciting, right? It's
Mhm.
definitely a goal, but there's so much more beyond that because we realize as you're growing, especially if you want to scale, 100K isn't enough. So in your work, because you had some more insight even beyond that, like what are the numbers like when women get to 250? I know that number is even smaller. And then tell us more about this 250K crisis. Because girl, I'm like all ears. 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah,
wait a minute. So we worked
let
this
me
hard
tell
to get
you,
here.
when you talk about a jaw-dropping moment, you had that 12% that literally were knocking on the door at 100.
Hmm.
Half of those, 6.2% of the women beyond 100K get to 250,000 in revenue. 6.2%. And let's just keep it real. 1.9% will get to a million.
Wow.
So the way that we've had to chop up this pie, and just to realize 100,000 is not enough. I remember I had an ad out for, it was a training,
Hmm.
and it says, how to get beyond 100,000 in revenue. And someone in the comments says, well, why isn't 100,000 enough? I said, have you looked at the economy lately?
Girl, right?
If your business is generating $100,000, you don't have $100,000 in the bank.
Mm-mm.
I think this is the mistake we all had when we started a business. I want to get to that first $100,000. Everyone had that pipe dream.
Mm-hmm.
And for many of my clients, they got there and they're like, oh, this is BS. Wait
Mm-hmm.
a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because say if you did have 100,000, by the time you get taxed, baby, you don't have 100. By the time you pay your expenses, it's not there. You need
And
more.
don't have a
Just
team member.
don't have a team member. So just enough is not enough. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is where I'm really starting this core conversation of the 250K crisis, because as you and I know, we have kitchen table talk. We have these side offline conversations. Lots of people that are in the industry, we have offline conversations behind closed doors. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
calling these bottleneck confessions,
Mm-hmm.
where you've grew a six-figure business and then you find yourself at 250 or so, and you're literally going in circles every year. You're saying, this is the year, this is the year, this is the year, and you keep repeating the same cycle, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no growth. It's one thing to have something that's repeatable, but is it scalable? And
Oh.
so this is a surprising phenomenon that's going on with women entrepreneurs more than men,
Mm-hmm.
that we get to this point of 250 or almost 250, and you can't seem to scale because you have three core components of your business that are not working together. And it's disastrous. I've seen many people close shop
Yes.
because
Yes.
of this, okay? Because you get to the point where you're like, I'm putting out more money and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not reaping the rewards. They don't have the 100K in the bank. They're still not possibly paying themselves what they know they need. And I've seen it even more. If you don't fix the 250K crisis, you'll get to a million and that won't be repeatable.
So Shayla, let me just
I
say,
know.
but
She's like, hold up now.
you get the 250K and you still not paying yourself, like
Prop, let me tell you something. If we had a poll right now, problems,
okay,
problems.
all right.
I mean, because think about this, Dr. Nadia. Oftentimes it's not projectable monthly income.
Mm-hmm.
It's touch and go. It may be one hit wonder months, but
Mm-hmm.
those are not repeatable months. I love to ask my clients if we can make sure their best month is every month, so we don't have to wait till once a year to have a huge launch
Oh
to
my
be able to
gosh.
say, oh, now
Yes.
I can afford to pay something to myself. So
Mm-hmm.
when you have one hit wonder months, they're paying themselves when they have a big amount that comes in. But other than that, it's like
Mm-hmm.
piecemealing themselves,
Oh my gosh.
right?
That's so stressful.
It's
I've lived this
beyond
life. It's
stressful.
stressful.
I'm like, put yourself down as an expense. Please be an
Please,
expense in your business,
please. If you
but
take nothing
you
else
can get
away.
there, and It's like I teach my clients, like, if you imagine walking in a room and there are 10 doors, they all look alike. Everyone's head swiveling. They don't know which door to open. What's the thing that I need right now? Because when you're desperate, when you're trying to grow and do things, you start picking any and every door. But if
Mm-hmm.
you're not picking the right door for the problem that you currently have, you're wasting money, you're wasting time, you're wasting energy, and you're not growing.
Oh my
You're not
goodness.
growing. And it's a major problem. And people are too embarrassed to talk about it.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Because
Because
here's the truth.
we
We
can't
know
let people know
I
that
got to
behind
look
the
good on the
scenes,
outside, right?
it's a whole hot mess.
I mean, let me tell you, the more money you make, when they say more money, more problems, if your stuff's not in order, the more problems you will have.
Oh, yes, 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 yes,
Okay.
yes.
So
So let's,
it is a crisis because the conversation is we're avoiding the conversation or masking the problem. You mask it by throwing more money at it.
I've seen it time and time again.
Oh, I'm
So,
sure you have in sales. You've seen it.
oh yeah. There are two questions though that I have. One is I want to know more about these three pillars as they relate to the 250K crisis.
Yeah.
And another one though, because you brought something up that was really interesting. Can we talk about why, in your opinion, is there so much shame around women admitting that, yeah, I may be making a lot of money, but I don't have my stuff together?
Mm. Okay, so let's address that one first.
Okay.
The shame of There's shame around money, period, when it comes to women. We don't speak about money as freely and as openly as men speak about money. And so, number one, you're already hesitant to say, I'm making quote unquote big money,
That's
right?
true.
And so then there's self sabotage that comes along with generating that money. There is the inconsistency of generating that money. And then we think I'm degreed. I have this degree, that degree. I took this certification. And God forbid if I paid 30, 40, $50,000 for these programs and I'm not making
Mhm.
the money I was supposed to make. Now I feel foolish. So that's where your shame comes in because there's comparison. They're
Yeah.
looking at their peers. They're looking at who's doing well, what influencer is doing well. And they're saying, I've been in this game this long.
Yeah.
The word should, I
Mhm.
should be here by now.
Yeah.
But okay, it's fair to say you should, but the reality is if you don't know how to get there, you can't accuse yourself. The should needs to go out of the way. Yes, you could have been there, but you didn't know how, or you didn't
Mhm.
have the tool, or you didn't have the right guidance. But it
Mhm.
means you still can get there. But you just need to
Absolutely.
slow down and refine a few things. Like you said, I refined my conversation,
Mhm.
refine a few things. Don't be afraid of refining, grinding down, getting to the nitty gritty
Yeah.
so that you can get clear and your clients can get clearer and make better decisions. So this goes into the three pillars that are super important for us to really address. First is marketing. You think I'm at six figures. Why do I need to fool around with marketing? You never stop marketing. I'm sorry, it doesn't go away. It's the pain that keeps stinging you right there in the butt, no matter
Always.
what. But that's the refinement. What you did to market to get to your first six figures, some of that may need to be refined,
Mhm.
especially if you're doing high ticket selling or you've pivoted to a high ticket selling model. You're going to need to refine your marketing techniques. You're going to need to refine who the audience is that you're marketing to. And you
Mhm.
can't be afraid of sitting down and figuring it out. You can buy every program, you can skip every worksheet that you need to work on, but you will find yourself in the same place
Yeah.
this time next year if you don't fix that component. Your ads are still going to suck. You're still going to attract people that are not the right fit clients. You're still going to say marketing doesn't work on social media because you're having the wrong conversation.
Yeah. So true.
And it's a mess. Okay.
Mhm.
Um, our second one would be our sales. When we're selling, this is your wheelhouse. When you're selling, You have a strategy for selling. We are selling to the right fit leads, not to every lead. We're refining. Is that process too long? Can we shorten that sales process? Are we nurturing them the way they need to be nurtured? Are people not buying because you're making it too convoluted for them to buy from you?
Don't make it
There are a
hard.
lot of things we need to look at, right? So that second pillar is sales, and there's a lot goes with sales. And I love Dr. Nadia and what you're teaching your clients around that.
Thank
And
you.
number 3 is your team.
Yes.
Here's the mistake. People who are like, I got to 6 figures. I'm not ready to have a team yet. Yes, you are. Let's
Yet again.
redefine what team means.
Yes.
Team can be approached from contractors. It could be part-time. It could be a full-time person. But I guarantee you need to pay attention to how you're being supported in the business, from the operations side to the marketing and sales side. Someone needs to be supporting you. If you're doing all things, you're going to run out of steam.
Oh my goodness. Yes. And I'm sure, because one of the things that you are so gifted and brilliant at is really helping these high achieving women come in and move from wherever they are and getting to 6 figures or multiple 6, and then helping them scale on their own terms, whether they want to get to 7 or just
Yes.
6 or whatever that number looks like. And so one of the things that you often have come across is the lack of team. So talk to me, because I'm like, why is team so important? And when do I know that I'm ready? Like, how do I figure this out when I'm already dealing with a crisis here? Shayla, help me out. Like,
Right.
what is going on?
Yes, you have the crisis. One of the things I love to do when my clients first come to work with me, we lay out, what's the framework, what are they selling, what does your typical day look like, and what are all the things you're doing in your business. And once we really look at it, we document it. I make them write it down, and they're like, whoa, I do a lot. You do. And so typically it's, I had a VA and the VA didn't work out. Well, what did you ask the VA to do?
Good question.
And that's where the ball drop starts right there. VAs have gotten such a bad rep, but they get a bad rep because you bring on the VAs without having a strategy for the VA. Everything and every team member that you bring on needs a strategy. The first thing, operations. So when it comes to operations, is it them doing the low ticket work for you? Meaning, are they doing behind the scenes work in your systems, in your CRM? Are they doing behind the scenes work with your client load? Are they making sure they're doing customer care? Those things that are taking away time from you, if you're still trying to load up funnels and do things like that, can they support you with that?
Please.
Is it a tech VA? You have tech VAs. The problem is when you ask the admin that does just data entry to do tech stuff, and they're like, I can't do it. Because you hired the wrong freaking person. Be clear. This is the skill set I'm looking for. There's a VA for everyone. I promise you there is. Find someone that can help you to hire the VA that can vet them on your behalf. And you can vet them and get them for 10 hours starting out. Maybe you need them 10 hours a month, 2 hours each week, 3 hours each week, just to do behind the scenes work. And then when you start getting consistency, you might decide, I want them to work on bigger projects, expand the amount of time. You might find a VA that's really good. Maybe if it's here in the US, maybe they're really good. And you're like, you know what? I want to bring them onto my team part-time. I no longer want them as a contractor. You might want a one and done part-time VA that can really understand, learn your system, and stick with you.
Yes.
And then marketing, you don't have to bring on a marketing manager. You may bring on someone that does one-off marketing projects. It may be getting clear about your marketing. Maybe it's a consultant. Any of those, you start small. I think of every coach, consultant, anyone that I work with as a team member.
Yeah.
Because they're all talking together. Whatever that person's telling me to do, I need to do it, or one of my other team members needs to do it. So all of them are part of your team. My point is, you can't do it by yourself.
Yes.
If you want to sleep.
And have a family.
and here's the truth. It may be it may be tight initially, bringing someone on, but if you can bring them on so that you can have more time to step out as the authority and attract more clients and close more deals, you're going to have the money you need to be able to pay them for even more hours.
Absolutely.
But I want people to start small, be willing to start small instead of not starting at all.
Yes, 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 yes. And I wanted to have you just kind of elaborate on part of what you just said, Shayla, because I think it's so important. Because earlier you mentioned how a lot of times we as women don't like to look at the numbers. Guilty, been there. I was like, oh, no, 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 I don't want to look at it. I know it's a hot mess, but girl, you can't fix it if you don't look.
Nope.
And I think that this is an area where a lot of us can improve when it even comes to forecasting and, like you said, cash flow planning. And so, walk us through a little bit some of the things that you might ask your clients or take them through as they're looking at, like, how can I really take a look at my cash flow, no matter how crazy it may look right now, right? And really start to forecast or plan for bringing on support and being able to see how I can actually pay for it.
It's a real deal. So the first thing it takes is honesty,
Ooh,
being honest with yourself
yes.
and honest with the person that's supporting you.
Mm-hmm.
What I require of my clients is that we have an open communication, and I tell my clients they're bringing me in, I'm a part of their team. In
Mm-hmm.
order for me to support you, one of the things that we have to go through in our monthly private call is the numbers. And so we are looking at what's your numbers. Typically, people love to tell me, I made $40,000 last month. Did you get 40,000 in the bank, or did you make
Right.
40,000 in sales? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you actually brought in 23,000 in the bank, and you have 40,000 in sales, and some of those are longer term payments.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations. Already they're like, Huzzy, really?
We raining on
I'm
my parade.
right. I'm like, we're celebrating the 40K in sales, but I want you to see, you think there's 40K, but you're going to go out and buy this thing, but you don't have 40K. You
Right.
have 20.
So good. Yes.
Okay. So now we can project next month, you're going to have this amount plus these recurring payments. So if you have recurring payments or payment plans, we can project that. If you're planning on doing an event, you can forecast and hope and pray. It's not a guarantee. You
It
better
is
think,
not.
okay? And so we just look at what do you know for a fact is coming in? What are your must-have expenses? Meaning these are things that I need to cover no matter what, they're not going away.
Mm-mm.
We're not talking about cutting a subscription that you have. That doesn't matter because the thing that you need to pay for is probably $1,000 or more.
Right.
So, what are those things we know they're coming in? And we look at immediately, does what you're bringing in cover that or not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're short. So, we need to get your sales up to at least this as a minimum each month. Then we know what our goal is.
Yeah.
And I'm focusing now on our goal is an additional 20K per month. Here's how we can make that happen. And we are focused only on that so that we can cover our expenses and make sure team is included in that.
Yes.
And so it's Dr. Nadia, it's literally, you got to be willing to look at the numbers with me. I track them. We have a document. We track them so we can see what happened month to month. So when you come back with your story, our story needs to match. Don't forget you told me
Sorry.
before. Okay. Last month you said,
Don't forget, Shayla's a mama, so she gonna
right,
know.
I'm a mama and I'm a Virgo and I am literal. You said this. Here's where we are. We like to make sure we build in enough extra profit for short months.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are experiencing short months in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have money that's still coming in? So when those months are short, or did you put money to the side? So when those months are short, you're good. Another one, Dr. Nadia, paying full clients. You
Oh
have a
yeah.
year-long program. Someone paid you $30,000. Don't blow the 30,000 in
Please don't.
January.
Please don't do that.
It takes discipline. You might want to put it into a savings account and draft from that savings account every month
Mm-hmm.
as if you're paying yourself or the business every month so you can spread it out. You have cash flow.
Yes.
I've seen those mistakes too where they're like, oh, snap. I'm like, what happened to the
Yes.
money? I
God,
paid off the
car.
bill. I'm like, you paid off the bill, but what happens next month? That was cute. Business credit is different than personal credit. You can have business debts and pay that debt off consistently,
Yes.
but it's different, guys. And that's another one, Dr. Nadia, just building the business credit.
Mm-hmm. Something we don't talk a lot
We
about.
are so used to bootstrapping
Mm-hmm.
and building off of our own backs. Business credit exists for a reason, but you have to be willing to do the work to build that credit so
Mm-hmm.
that you have it available when months are short.
Yes.
You have something to draw upon. You're not in a social media group saying you're having a flash sale for something crazy because you're desperate.
Girl.
We've seen it, right? We've seen it.
I got one of those emails today. I was like, for real?
I was like, you don't do that. Now stop it. So I will tell you the last thing, Dr. Nadia, but when we're saying the sales, marketing, and our team, part of that sales and the marketing, I think they're coexist,
Mm-hmm.
is I really keep my clients in their framework. So when that
Mm-hmm.
scarcity comes through and it's I need to make some quick money, it better come from this framework.
Right.
Because the moment that you leave the framework and start offering things that are not aligned with what you are known for or what your business is built around, the moment that you take value away from your business.
Yeah. That's so good. I remember.
And yeah, you remember, right? And if the
Oh.
framework is built properly, you can take components of the framework. You can sell
Mhm.
components or the entire framework. But when you go rogue, that's when your business goes rogue.
I shake my head because I think back to those days when I was all over the map. I think
Oh
about
yeah.
all the stuff. Some of the stuff I used to offer, like, Nadia, what were you doing? Just out
I
here, these
think we've
women
all
just
been there. We've all
all
been,
over the
I can say
place.
it because I've done it.
Girl, what are you doing? So yes,
Um,
yes. And
and, and having accountability partners, I remember one of our other accountability partners one time, it was a long time ago. She was like, what was that you just sent out? I'm like, what? That, oh, yeah.
right, your
She said, just,
accountability partners on your email list. Like, what is this?
she was like, just don't send another email, act like that didn't go out.
Right. It was a
You
glitch
strayed
in the
away from,
matrix.
you had a glitch. You had a glitch. Keep going.
Hmm. Let's talk about, now that you bring this up, because I think one of the things that we often see, at least I know from my personal experience, is as we're growing and we're really kind of getting our legs, if you will, in the marketplace and we're refining, there's also like this pivot point, if you will, and you really kind of shift and you say goodbye to some people, maybe a particular audience or an offer. But there's this little piece in the middle. And, as you're making that shift, so in your work with your clients, as they're really refining, because one of the things I think we have to do is kind of trim the fat in essence as we're growing.
Yes.
As I say it all the time, say no to McDonald's menus. Like seriously, we don't need 800 different items. People just standing there staring because they don't know what to pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that can be terrifying. How do you work with your clients and getting them to relax and trust the process when they're making those pivots and those shifts?
It starts with a deep breath, just like this. Yes. Because you're absolutely right. And sometimes we feel safe having many opportunities and we feel safe having a huge list. But if that list wasn't buying from you anyway, and they were not a good fit for what you were offering in the first place, are you really losing anything?
Right.
Your ego's losing out because
Yeah.
you don't have the vanity number. But I'd rather you have something small, mighty, and energetic. And
Yes.
so, what I love to tell clients is, and I've done it for myself when I've said goodbye to an audience, understand you've served them well. It's time for you to mature in your business as a CEO. And as you mature and your business matures, sometimes you have to leave a group behind to be able to go to someone else.
Mhm.
So this is a great opportunity to create referrals.
Mhm,
That
mhm.
audience isn't a good fit. It's a great opportunity for joint venture work. You may have a segment of your email list that no longer is associated with anything that you do, but you may have a partner
Yes.
that works with that audience. Send them their messages, send them their training, let them opt into that. You're still serving. You're still serving and focus your energy on the core group that you really want and understand how they like to be talked to and understand the nurturing could be shorter because now it's refined, it's condensed.
Yep.
And I let my clients know when they really lean in and own the title of the audience that they really want to work with, the
Mhm.
audience says yes.
I love that.
When they dilly daddle and they're like women entrepreneurs, I'm like, okay, keep going.
Say
And so your
more.
master class didn't work because you attracted women entrepreneurs. We said your title was XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
or you were looking for specialists, or you were looking for C-suite executives that have XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
The stronger the call out is for them, the clearer they can hear their name.
Oh, I love that. That's so
And
good.
it's a real thing.
It
And
is.
I've had to learn it. And I think everyone's had to learn it at a certain point and
Yeah.
understand you're really not leaving anyone.
No.
There's so many people in our industry online with these online businesses and offline businesses, they can be supported.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you were telling me you had a list of 5,000 and all 5,000 people were buying from you, we might have a different conversation.
Right. Right.
But 3 of those people on that list of 5,000 bought from you, you're not missing anything. I
Nothing at
promise you,
all.
you're not. You're missing your engagements. Vanity metrics are a very debilitating thing.
Yes.
When
Mm-hmm.
you are so focused on a vanity metric, if it's not converting to money or opportunities, it doesn't matter.
This is so good. And you're just all on my toes. Actually, I'm doing better. I don't think I shared this in our accountability call, but our first email today actually went out to our list of, are we staying together?
Oh, oh,
Because
come on
it's
now.
basically, we are in a, I had to go through my own process, but
Yes.
I got to the point where I was now excited about cultivating relationships with people that want to hear from me, who are interested in the direction that we're going, and who I hope one day become buyers. But you're right, just having a list just to have a list is not doing
Yeah,
anything. It was actually sucking the life out of my soul. So we are
absolutely.
in that process. So by end of month, we'll be switching. We're gonna,
OMG. Well,
releasing those people. Yep.
I'm excited for that. And you're on my list. So I am very intentional. I'm like, hey, you're a 6-figure business owner, da da da. And if they're not, they're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm 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 I'm
Oh,
not a
I'm in the wrong
6-figure
room.
coach, consultant, or agency owner, female-led business. And I will keep saying 6-figure this for female, da 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 da. And I'm calling them out, and I am getting very comfortable just
Mhm.
saying their name over and over again. And so the fallout happens. People will unsubscribe. That's okay. People
Yep.
decide this probably isn't for me. She's not talking to an MLM. I'm like, I don't know how you're going on my list anyway, but okay, goodbye. You're trimming the fat, literally, but you're making it so that you can do scaling in a
Mhm.
lean manner. We're going to go with that. It's lean scaling. It's very succinct. People know it's for them. They know the conversation is going to be relevant
Yes.
and they stick around.
And that, yeah, we're excited, but I'm definitely in that process. And so I just love it. I love the work that you do. And one thing that you mentioned, I wanted to circle back because in my experience, granted, I have not worked with all the business coaches in the world, but I have noticed that not all business coaches or sales coaches take the time that you do to look at the numbers. And I remember the first time I worked with a coach and she was like, Nadia, I want to see your numbers. I was like, excuse me?
Right.
Because I was so accustomed to, I show up to calls, I take notes, I participate, I go to the retreats, I do all the things, but as long as I could make my coaching payments, no one
That's all
ever
that mattered.
asked me what was going on behind the scenes, and most of the time it was a hot mess, right? And so I
and
love.
and and it's very common that it's not asked, and sometimes it's because there's such huge groups.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's because we're just going to keep teaching and throwing information at you and make you feel great. But I teach in intimate communities where I really get to know my clients. Even if it's a group, they're intimate groups, we're not afraid of talking about the numbers.
I love
And
it.
what I know is they're going to walk away stronger, more valuable. They're going to be able to talk about the numbers with their team, and they know they don't have to hide it.
Nope.
They
Nope.
don't have to hide it. They can come back after working with me for a year. They'll look at their numbers when we started, and we can look at the track record.
Hmm.
Data
Hmm.
is your friend.
It is. I say that
It's
all
your
the time.
friend. It's your friend. It's the lifeblood, the lifeline for your business.
Yep. And your
If you
numbers tell the
ignore,
story.
they tell the story and we ignore it.
Yes, we do. Like la 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 la
You're
la.
like, I don't know how this happened. I do. It's right there.
right here.
It's right there. I can see it. Next month, you're not going to have any money because you don't have any sales lined up.
Nope. Your pipeline is
Don't
empty,
come in
honey.
and say, oh, I have no idea why you've not nurtured anything. What did you do this month? Do you know that client's ending next month? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
projecting. Like you won't have money next month. That's the projection. Fix it.
Period. Fix it. Let's fix it now.
Right.
So one thing that you mentioned, Shayla, is your work with small, intimate groups. And one of the
Yeah.
things that you have is an annual 3-day event that is simply amazing. And I'm so glad we passed the cootie so we can be a person again. Tell us
Oh my
about
word.
this event and who should be in that room with you.
Absolutely. So this is our third annual Luxury Business Experience that grew out of a pandemic.
Yes.
Who decides to start having events in a pandemic? Me, because I just do things like that. But we have refined this event so that we can gather six-figure women entrepreneurs, especially between 100 and 500K in revenue. We're bringing them into this room. So number one, we can teach them more about this 250K crisis and how they can avoid it so that they can scale to 7 figures or beyond.
Mm-hmm.
The women that are coming in here, we have coaches, consultants, we have agency owners. They're really like applying. I have people applying saying, I want to be in the room. They
Mm-hmm.
want to be here because it's a curated room, Dr. Nadia. You
Yes.
ever go to a conference and you're like, this is an any and everybody room?
Girl,
It's
I
cute,
supported many of those. Let's not even go
right?
there.
It's cute, it's fun, but after a while, when you mature, your business matures, your room needs to mature.
Absolutely.
So it's time to get into a different room. You want a room where the conversation can be held, that bottleneck confession can be had in this room, and they know it's a safe container and they know it's relatable. There's not going to be a conversation of what's a lead magnet. Instead, there's a conversation of, is what you're currently sharing with the market relevant?
Yes.
Do you need to change something in that? And is it for the right client? And if it is, great. Is the marketing piece working the way we need it to work? Or do we need to refine that? What are we selling? What's the pricing that we're looking at? But more than anything, who's supporting you? It's about leadership. We'll have people talking about leadership, being a CEO. Why is it that your team keeps turning over? If you have a high turnover rate, is it you?
Yeah.
Because Dr. Nadia, we didn't go to school to learn how to be leaders.
Nope.
We got the certifications, we got the degrees, but no one said this is how you become a leader and a CEO.
Yes.
And so
Agreed.
sometimes we need to lean back and say, let me focus on me for a minute and get my stuff together so my team can be on board and not think that they have a chaotic person at the at the head of the table.
Because it's hard to support chaotic. Trust me.
It's hard to support chaotic. And so it's so important that we really focus on managing that in addition to looking at our marketing and branding. This is another thing that happens at six figures. Is the brand still relevant to what we're doing now?
Mm-hmm.
Does the brand and messaging match the new audience that we want to speak to? And then everyone's rolling eyes like, oh God, not this again. Yeah, it's this again. Refinement, okay? It's
Mm-hmm.
all a part of this process. So I'm super excited for the women that are applying. Again, it's a small, intimate room of women entrepreneurs that are coming. They're ready to scale. And everyone that walked away last year, they attended, everyone in that room found a way to do business with someone in the room.
Nice.
It wasn't a sales party, it was a connection party, Dr. Nadia.
Oh, I love
Everyone
it.
figured out a way to connect or collaborate, and they walked away either referring someone to someone they sat next to or looking and saying, I need exactly what you have. And so it
Mm-hmm.
was a safe room, not a pitch room. It was a safe space to do business and to walk away with a new strategy that could help them to scale.
I love it. And this year, you guys are right here near Nadia
OMG. We're
in
gonna
the
we're gonna figure
valley.
we're gonna figure out if the heat's gonna take us in out or not.
I'm gonna go out and do a rain dance or two in preparation for your event because this summer has been just
Well,
even we have been.
thankfully, it's inside a beautiful location. So we have air conditioning. We have air. We may not
Thank
be doing
God.
lunches on the lawn, but we have air conditioning.
And it's September, so maybe.
But it's Scottsdale. So Scottsdale, I went to Scottsdale in, when did I come? Was it like February when I came
February.
down
It was
there to visit
freezing
you.
when you came in
It
February.
was so weird. It was so, Dr. Nadia, I'm like, is this Arizona? What's going on with the weather?
I told you then we were having an identity crisis. We had one of the coldest winters to go into one of the hottest summers. We don't know
Yes.
what's going on right now.
It was very different, very different. I'm like, well, I don't know what to expect from Arizona, but we're going to make the most of it. And the women are coming through. It's going to be so powerful.
Where can people go to find out more information about this event?
Yeah, they can go to luxeyourbusiness.com.
Yeah, so head over to
Yay.
luxeyourbusiness.com, apply so
Apply,
Shayla can
apply,
make sure.
apply.
Yes.
We're keeping this room
Not one of
clean,
those
girl.
butts
This
and
is,
seats kind of deals. No,
yes, we don't do that.
no, not at all. Oh my goodness. So Shayla, I could talk to you all day long, but I must let you go. So as we get
Oh.
ready to close, what is one final thought or tip you would want to share with leaders as they're growing and scaling their businesses? And then whatever other resources you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, you know what's really important, Dr. Nadia? I always think about my mother. My mother is one of my biggest fans. She's everywhere. If anyone's come to an
She
event,
is.
my mother isn't there. But what I love is the way she raised me. And when I was growing up, I didn't appreciate this as much. She would always say, dare to be different. And I'm like, oh my God, would you stop it already? But I get it today because it's that differentiation that's the factor that will help you to stand out in the industry.
Mhm.
When you're not paying attention, I teach my clients, instead of competing, we're celebrating. So it's not your competition. You're celebrating. They're doing amazing, but I can do that or more.
Yes.
It's not a competition. So daring to be different is going to be the thing that will help give you longevity. Longevity is the word. So that you can stand out. And I want to make sure that your clients that are listening, or your clients that are listening to this podcast, they really gain that. And if you want to know what your Lux factor is, like where are you on the scale of Lux? We do have a quiz, and I can make sure I provide you with that quiz to determine your Lux factor and get into my world a little bit.
Yes. So we'll definitely include that in the show notes because I want you all to take it. It's fabulous. So much insight. Well, thank you so much, Shayla. I love it. I'm continuing to watch you on this journey because I'm feverishly taking notes about this 250K crisis. Like, Nadia. But I'm like, Nadia, do the work, go through the process.
Yeah,
It'll be a
yeah.
lot less painful on the other side.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. And I'm so glad we could have this conversation.
Finally, right? Well, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Straight Talk About Sales. We'll see you again soon.